Hello, everybody. Welcome back to whatever this is called, the podcast where two guys talk about stuff because we have mouths and that's what they're for, right? And eating. I suppose eating is another major part of why we have mouths too. I am Scott Taylor, and this here, as always, is Mr. Steven Garcia. Steve, how you doing?
Hello, Governor. I'm doing good. I'm kind of excited. Woke up with a little headache, but I took some ibuprofen, and it's kind of ebbing. Other than that, fantastic. How about you, Scott?
Hey, Steve, eyes up here. Eyes up here. Because today we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is it's soups. And spoiler alert, my number one draft pick is gonna be French onion. I don't know that you can beat French onion today, Steve. I was really excited when you said you want to talk soup.
Mine's cream of mushroom.
Cream of mushroom? Nice. So we're talking Superman. We're cape up, tighten your spit curl, because today we're flying headfirst into the world's most overqualified farm boy. Yes, Superman. Cue up the John Williams theme in your head, because we're talking about the latest cinematic take on Superman, the big blue Boy Scout back on the big screen. And once again, we're asking, did they finally get it right? Is truth, justice, and whatever slogan we're using now alive and well? Or are we still trapped in the multiverse of moody stares and half-baked origin retreads? So let's break down the capes, the cameos, the Kryptonian trauma, and whether this Superman actually smiles. So here we go, Steve. Steve, we saw this a couple weeks ago now, and we've had some time to let it set in. What are your overall feelings at this point?
Well, overall, I think it's a good movie. I think if you're looking for just kind of straight action, not much, it's not really that deep. So, if you're in for the action, it's a well-constructed movie. If you liked the Suicide Squad James Gunn version, if you liked Guardians of the Galaxy, you're going to love this movie. And it's kind of in that same vein, especially Suicide Squad. It's kind of more in that vein. And I think it's a good movie. I have my problems with it, but overall, I wouldn't. If someone says, "Hey, I'm going to go watch Superman," is it good? And I would just tell them, "Yeah, it's good. You'll enjoy it." So, I think, that's my thoughts about it. How about you? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think you hit it pretty well there with how deep it is. Right?
Yeah.
It's very surface level, and it's, at least as a viewpoint, it's not trying to make everybody happy, which is what they try to do with a lot of the movies. It's just trying to pull everybody in and let everybody feel like this was a good movie and everything they needed. This had its viewpoint. It was very, Clark Kent is there to help people, and that was his main purpose. Secondarily, was there to fight bad guys, but it was mainly to protect people, and that was the viewpoint of this Superman. Tonally, is he a hopeful hero or a gritty god in this one? Is it a return to the hopeful, inspiring Superman, versus the broody, reluctant savior territory? Did they strike that emotional balance, do you think? Do you think they're still afraid to let Superman be super?
I think they've kind of, I don't know, James Gunn, he presents a lot of like really cool moments in this film. So I think it's a little lighter. It's not the moody, Henry Henry Cavill?
Cloddington.
Yeah.
Henry Cloddington.
I think, it's a stark difference from that one. And it's going back to the original Superman. I think it has that intention to do that. I think he presents a lot of cool things that really are interesting, but then it doesn't really go anywhere. And so I feel like a lot of times he presents a really cool idea or a scene, and you're thinking, okay, cool, that's a good direction. But then it kind of just doesn't go anywhere with that, and it's another fight or it's another kind of thing. I don't know. He goes in a lot of different directions, and that that's kind of not my main problem, but that's one of the things that I just felt about this movie, was that it kind of was trying to go in all these directions, and then it just kind of falls in the third act. It kind of just falls into the whole cliche of big fight and really CGI heavy, and it kind of loses me in the third act. But yeah, how about you? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think I agree with the whole third act
Yeah,
piece there, that it was kind of all mushed together at the end. It takes a special movie to weave everything together so that when you
yeah,
get to that third act, that everything is on point. And this felt a little smushed together.
yeah,
It I There wasn't a lot of Clark Kent in
yeah,
this movie, right?
yeah, yeah,
And they jump right in, and spoilers, there's definitely spoilers. So it's over a week out. This will be like 2 weeks after this is released. So it gives us some time to think about it. So, we're in our right place to have spoilers. So, but it jumps right in, and so many people know who he is, right? So
yeah,
you don't get a lot of that kind of mystery of, oh, it's Clark, it's Superman, and it dives right into that. We're used to the original Superman where it was all about that. It was like, I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to jump out a window, like, that sort of stuff to try to prove that it's you. We didn't get a lot of that this time, and I think
yeah.
that's what we kind of feel the Superman character is, because we grew up with the Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's kind of, I think, missing is a lot of the duality of Superman and Clark Kent. I think you didn't have to make the whole story about that, but I think there has the part of the charm of the original one was his kind of becoming Superman and the kind of the battle of how much does he give to these people, how much does he give to Lois, and how much does he have to sacrifice? I mean, you see kind of a sacrifice there because he wants to tell Lois. He falls in love with Lois right away, and even in the first one, or the original 78, 79 one. And that's part of the kind of, I think, charm of the first one. And also it gives a lot of story beats to that, which I think is really cool. It gives it that drama about it. And so in this one, it's kind of they're already in a relationship. And so they're just kind of arguing, I guess, about that he he did an interview with himself, and then it goes from there. But yeah, I mean I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that I didn't like, but I mean, that was one of it too. That was a good point because there wasn't any kind of Clark Kent in it, and I just wanted to see more Clark Kent and just see more of a story overall.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, it's good. I'm not saying that but it was just kind of thin on story, and that's what kind of disappointed me.
Yeah, and it felt like there was less of the Lois Lane that we know,
Mm-hmm.
because there was less turmoil for her. She was felt like she was just kind of moving the story along and being
Yeah.
that the purpose in the story of just taking you from point A to point B to point C. It's like, oh, someone has to go let the other team of superheroes know that Clark Kent needs help.
Yeah.
She flew a spaceship. Great. It didn't have to be Lois Lane to fly a spaceship, Like when we were talking, I'd like to see her hit someone in the head with a fire extinguisher.
Right.
I'd like to see her in trouble. Not damsel in distress where she needs saving, but a damsel in distress that she's pulling herself out of that trouble herself. Because she's a strong character, a strong female character.
And she wasn't really, I mean, she was a reporter, Pulitzer Prize reporter, or maybe not in this movie, but the big break Jimmy Olsen gets,
Mm-hmm.
and it would have been nice to see her, it would have been nice to see her kind of reporting and getting into the trenches to try to get maybe some nuggets of the story. Which is one of my peeves is that about the story that was an interesting little thing that's not really revealed until I think the end and the third act about these two countries and how Lex is kind of manipulating them into kind of having them, provide weapons and stuff like that. I mean, I felt like that was interesting, and I thought, I wish that could have been more of a plot point in the story. Then you get Lois more interested into kind of, uncovering that, and then we get a sense of why Lex is kind of pushing all of this stuff, and that's another thing about Lex. I thought he did a great job, but I mean, I didn't really like this iteration of Lex Luthor. So, yeah, I mean, Lois was kind of reporting, but she wasn't really, you don't see a lot of it. You see some, a little bit, but you don't, so, yeah. How about you? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you kind of jump into the middle of things, right?
Yeah.
And it's feet on the ground, right at the beginning of the movie. And they expect you to just jump right in and grab onto it all. is this battle going on between these
Yeah,
two
yeah,
countries? What's Lex's true purpose for it? Lex Luthor he's about two things. He's about hating Superman, and he's about himself. That's the two driving factors of Lex
yeah.
Luthor. And so you get the I hate Superman because he just tells you, he's like, I hate you. You're strong, and brains should be better. But as far as the doing it for himself, it's like it felt like it was more just the hatred of Superman, because like, yeah, he's trying to help fund this country so it can get taken over, and he gets half of it. But why? Like he already has everything that he could need.
Right,
Why would he want this little half of a country,
right,
on the other side of the world? They
right.
don't, they say resources there, right? His investment will be tenfold or whatever, hundredfold. Great, but that's not exciting. That's
Yeah,
not, going to cause an earthquake to knock the coast of California into the ocean so that you now have beachfront property. Like, that's the kind of crazy, conniving topics I want Lex Luthor
yeah,
to throw
yeah,
at us.
yeah. And I think, yeah, going into that, I think that's a good point because Lex to me kind of just came off as like a teenager. It just felt like he was kind of,
He was petulant, right?
yes, that was the word I was looking for. I don't know how to pronounce it. I do, but I didn't want to fuck it up on camera. But yeah, that's what it seemed like, and it just kind of took me out every time we see him because, like you said, I think there's all this stuff that's interesting that could have been interesting or that could have kind of gave some gravitas to the storyline, but he just kind of shies away from that. Even in the third act, Superman's getting his butt kicked and with Ultraman, and then you see like the country and they're getting ready to go to war, and you're thinking, oh shit, how's he gonna get out of this and go all the way over there, and then just the other Justice League members get there and we'll take care of it. We're friends with Superman, and I just felt kind of like a cop out, and then just a lot of other things with that third act. It just had lots of problems with, but yeah, I mean, it's something with Lex. If you were to show him conniving a plan that was kind of like that first movie, it would have gave him a little more weight to why he was so. I mean, yeah, he hates Superman, but it would just give it more, I guess, credence, or I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, it felt like the answer was like, why is he doing it? More money.
Yeah. Yeah,
And that's it. More money.
Yeah.
He's gonna have more money. It's not like the resources there. I found a hidden, kryptonite vault underneath there that, I can then use to make sure no other Superman, no other Kryptonian, ever does this to us again.
You just did. You just made it more interesting.
Like, that was out of my
like
butt.
That. Yeah.
Out of my butt. Completely out of my butt. Yeah, something bigger, something drawing us in versus just more money.
Right.
Now, were there things I liked in the movie? Yes. Mr. Terrific, right?
Oh yeah.
Was great, and Nathan Fillion was great.
Yeah.
Lantern, great. Hawk Girl, I think was great. I think that aspect of it, the Justice Gang, I liked it. One of the things we were concerned about is, are there going to be too many superheroes, too many villains coming at them? I do think it was pretty balanced. You had the little side gang, Justice Gang, there to kind of help out and do their own thing.
Did you catch the Hall of Justice from the ABC? Meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice, it was that same building. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how that grows in the universe. From the Justice Gang and just bringing other people in terms of the Justice League, that sort of thing. That'll be really, really cool to see built from there. I don't think they cram too many creatures in. At one point you've got Superman's just sitting there depressed, and you've got a space imp or something going on in the background where the Justice Gang is taking care of it, and he's just like, it's fine. He's like, that's fine. They can handle that. They don't need me. I kind of like that aspect that it's like it's kind of business to him.
Yeah.
At this point, he's been doing it for 3 years. I think they said, that Superman's been loud and proud for 3 years. So people still, there's still buildings getting demolished. It feels like people are still like, oh, let's just stand here while there's fights going on.
Well, I think that was another problem that I had. Sorry to interrupt you, but I think that
go for it.
Well, the scenes in the trailer where he's saving people and you would think that that's part of a bigger scene, but it's not. It's just that scene that they show in the trailer. and there's nothing. It's just him in the midst of fighting, which is showing that he even saves a little squirrel. So it's just showing you that what lengths he goes to save people. But I would have liked to have seen those connected in kind of like it was part of a bigger scene. Like they're fighting, he sees the girl, maybe he's like trapped somewhere and he needs. It just wasn't. It was just they're kind of like standalone scenes, which is cool because I mean, in one aspect where it is showing you what lengths he's going to save people, but it just seems kind of like it goes back to my original thing of it's not too deep. It's just showing you these action pieces, and it's kind of just like, well, we saw that in the okay, cool, all right, cool, so yeah.
Yeah, they're fighting the kaiju as a distraction. And
did you know what that was called before?
I think kaiju is just like a general term for those types of monsters, like in the Godzilla type universe.
Okay,
that's how I've learned to use kaiju, not like a specific character.
Yeah.
So anytime there's big monsters, like kaiju.
Yeah, because I saw a lot of reactions or reviews of this movie, and they're like, "Oh, the kaiju," and it's like, I didn't even know that was that was what you call it, or I didn't. And that kind of took me out a little bit because it was like, or it didn't take me out, but it made me feel like, okay, this is comic booky, and this is the direction where it's going. Okay, that's cool. And I know I say that about a comic book movie, but there's ways to kind of keep a balance between, having it grounded and having it really comic booky, because in that aspect, I feel like Donner's movie in '79 was closer to kind of what Nolan did with Batman. It was kind of that thing, and the whole thing, the whole teaser about that was "You'll believe a man can fly," and that was kind of the thing. Which brings me to another point that I wanted to make, but then I think that technology is kind of caught up to of the Superman movies, because I think the novelty of the first one was the special effects, and I think at that time that was just wow, that was kind of the mind-blowing thing to get people in the seats. But now everything's caught up to that Superman, and it's a challenge to kind of see, okay, well, how do they do these fight scenes or flight scenes, and I feel like I don't know. I just feel like that has to be kind of addressed in terms of how to make that interesting, But I don't know.
Well, yeah, go from that being the big deal of just someone showing someone flying, without ropes hanging off of them,
right?
And now you go to this where you've got this green baby that just doesn't look right. It just didn't, like, the dad, fine, the makeup on the dad, and the different rock types and things that he can create out of himself. Okay, I can allow that, but the baby just did not look right at all.
Yeah,
it felt like they could have had another like 2 months, and I don't think they would have got that baby right.
Well, I think and when Superman gets into that river, Pixels, I don't know what that was. I think, sorry, excuse me. I think Mr. Terrific was like, you can't go in that or else it will kill us. And then you see Superman he's in it, and there's no effect of him at all. And maybe it's just because he's not human. Maybe the humans, it would kill him. But I just feel like that whole third act was kind of getting away from the original point of the flying and all that, or the baby. I thought the baby was gone too. When he went into that river, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess bye-bye baby. But nope, it was still there.
Yeah, it's almost like fight scenes where things are happening too fast and you can't tell what's going on, and you just kind of gloss over. And that whole sequence there was a gloss over moment for me. It's like, well, he's in a river. He's gonna come out at some point. I'm just gonna sit here and think happy thoughts until that happens and so on out. And did I pay my electric bill? And I think my car registration is next month. Sitting there thinking that stuff because I can't see what's going on. I can't. I'm not interested in, this arm is coming out here and grabbing this guy. It's just happening a little too fast.
Yeah.
A little too much on the screen. That was that whole bit for me. And also in the third act, when he's fighting, Bizarro him, clone him, some of the stuff there when they're going down into the crack, into the void there, was the same thing. I was like, are they facing up? Are they facing down? What's going on? I felt like during
Yeah.
those times too, there was just too much going on the screen. And it wasn't really telling a story for me visually.
Yeah. I agree with you on that one. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt as well. And I think there was a couple of opportunities to kind of go back to the source material, and instead of a black hole, that could have been, what do they call it? What do they call it where they send all in Superman, where they send all the villains? Jeez, old man brain strikes again. The Phantom Zone, that's what it is. I felt like that was a good opportunity to introduce that instead of a black hole, where it's just like, well, it's you're going to go into a black hole. It would have been interesting to see it as like maybe the Phantom Zone, and something that would familiar, or people that are familiar with Superman would be like, oh wow, that's cool. That's a cool callback to the source material. Yeah, that third act was just kind of messy, and it just boiled down to a duke 'em out fight, and he saves himself with his super breath, and that is so.
Yeah, they're we can definitely get into a petty nitpick corner with
Right.
a lot of the stuff here.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of what we're saying is just kind of overall theming to it. Was it fun? Yeah, it was fun. I saw it twice. My 14-year-old loves it. It's like, can we go see it again? And I'm like, we'll wait till streaming. I've seen it twice already. That's enough for now. But she loves crypto, right? Not minding it, but the dog. She just was like, oh, there's a Squishmallow crypto at Target. She wanted to pick up, so it hit that demographic,
Yeah.
right? And,
Well, that's
I feel like that way as we're getting older. I feel like it's like, is this for me anymore?
right.
And
Yeah.
what is for me and what's not for me, and is it for the next generation to kind of enjoy and get into? And I feel like this is one of those situations where it's like, yeah, I should just take it for what it is and let the other generation grab onto it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's I just like I think I told you too when we were driving home. I think I've aged out of Superman, because this wasn't really. I don't think it was marketed to people like me or at my age. Although I still love Superman and if they come out with a sequel, I'll go see that one too. But yeah, it's just I won't say that it sucks or that it's bad or this or that. It's a good movie, and James Gunn knows what he's doing. And I think it's just, for me, I just felt like I just aged out of it. And, I'm not going to deter anybody to go see it. So.
Does Superman eat?
Yeah.
Because he didn't eat anything that entire time. His mom didn't make him eat some soup. He wasn't, when he was sitting out on the bench.
Cereal.
He was eating cereal, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So that man, all he ate was cereal. That's it. They ate breakfast, right, with Lois Lane, I guess. So he ate that. So over the span of a couple days,
Yeah.
I guess he
Well,
did eat.
in the first one, with the Donner film, she asked him, "Do you eat?" He says, "Yeah, when I'm hungry." So I guess he just doesn't really get. I think it's like he's throwing him a bone. Okay, I'll eat something just to not freak you guys out because I can go like a month without eating. So
Yeah, he's like, I'll do this. This is more for you than me. Yeah, he did eat a little bit there, so that's always good in movies. I don't need it to be like the show 24, where I have to guess like when are they going to the bathroom? When are they eating a sandwich? Like they're going a whole day. Like they got to eat something. Just pull out a granola bar, Jack Bauer.
Well, what did you think of his suit? Did you like the suit?
Yeah, I was fine with the suit. The classic suit is there for a reason. It's identifiable. When you start to go just the prior one, the Cable one with the just all kind of gray, like a dark blue, no underwear on the outside. Give me the underwear on the outside. At least a visual of it's not literally underwear on the outside, but give me the red crotch area.
Yeah.
Normally, a red crotch area is a warning, right? If it was Superman, it's welcoming.
And
If your red crotch area lasts more than 5 hours, see a doctor.
Well, and also, what did you think of the dog? I think for me, the dog, it just didn't work for me. But what did you think of the dog?
I think it fit in well enough.
Mm-hmm.
There was a driving factor for him to be like, I have to go find where he is.
Yeah.
He's kidnapped, so I have to go find him. It gives that reason.
Oh yeah, I
Have
forgot
him
about
go
that.
do that. Yeah, see? Oh, yeah, that happened. But just, the dog saving at the beginning, great. The dog then coming back to save him later, it's like, we already saw this.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it cute that he's chasing these little, the terrific spheres or whatever he called them? Yeah, he's a dog. He's chasing a ball. Great, that's cute. That's good. I feel like it was just on the threshold of too much, right?
Yeah.
Just right there for me.
Well, I think that's what Gunn does really well too. I think he did it with Guardians of the Galaxy is to kind of try to get like something that doesn't exist in CGI or whatever they do to make him up and give him sort of these qualities that ties into the story. So it's emotional. It's like an emotional beat, to have these characters. And I just think that he did it well with Rocket Raccoon, but I think in this one it just kind of bugged me.
Mm-hmm.
I have a family member that has a new puppy, and I love dogs, but I just want like order. When they're puppies, man, it's just like, oh God, I just stay down. I get annoyed really easy. But yeah,
I liked the visual of Crypto. I think they did with that. I think they did the CGI really well.
yeah,
Did it look like a real dog? There's always something off about it, but that's hard to do. But it was close enough that I was like, okay, I can accept that. It wasn't the green baby.
And let's see, what else today? The Supergirl cameo and the post-credit scenes. Like, were you big fans of those? What did you think of those?
Yeah, so I think Supergirl is great to set it up that way. I think it was fine. She just literally dropped in, and you can see the relationship they have. You can see the kind of character she is in this universe, and then she's out.
Yeah,
and that's it. So it wasn't like coming in to save you, save the day.
Right.
It was just, hey, here's a character. You're probably going to see them later. Just wait till then.
I was listening to some reviews about that, and yeah, because I initially thought, oh, this is cool. I didn't think that she was ever, even going to be in this movie. But I hear a lot of reviews or a lot of people talking about her backstory in that she's seen a lot of stuff and seen a lot of evil things, and that's why they're kind of making her that way about, she's kind of traumatized by a lot of things. So I thought, oh, that's cool. I didn't know anything about her backstory. I just knew that she was Superman's cousin, and that she came with him initially and then got lost in transit and finally found her way to Earth and all that kind of. That's all I knew about her. So it's kind of cool that they're making these little choices. Yeah, so it made me excited to see where they go with the Supergirl next.
Yeah, they could just take Superman and put it on anything, right? You can have, super sandwich. You can have. I mean, that's usually an option on a menu. Super sandwich.
Yeah.
You can have, super cat. You can have super kangaroo.
Yeah.
You can put super on anything, and you know what it is. It's like, okay, great. It's gonna be hurt by kryptonite. It's powered by the sun. So it's hard to take a character like that and be like, how do I make it different?
Yeah.
And I think if they do show the backstory of some trauma there, her upbringing, how that was a little different than Superman's, I think that's a sweet spot.
Yeah, because Superman, we got lucky at the people that raised him, and I imagine that the people maybe. I don't even know if she got raised by people. That would be interesting to see what kind of world that she has compared to her cousin.
And that will probably get more backstory on than the Superman.
That's
this
true.
movie here will probably have a lot more origin story stuff for her and how she kind of came to be, which will be interesting. That's a character that I'd like to see on the big screen. Yeah,
and I heard that the guy that did The Flash is doing her movie, I think that's right. I'm not sure. And I had problems with The Flash, but I thought it was like this movie in the sense of like it was just a fun movie. It wasn't anything. The visuals were kind of cool, but until the end. But so I'm looking forward to the Supergirl movie as well. So
yeah, I would like to see if I sit through credits, I'd like to see something.
Yeah.
Worthwhile at the end.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like the Mr. Terrific thing. Like maybe I missed something.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, okay. Inside joke, maybe? I thought I missed something.
Yeah, and the shot of him on the moon with Crypto was cute, and it's a throwback to the comic cover, so that was fine. We don't need everything to be in a after credits scene. We don't need that for everything. I do like when it ties into something that's coming out in the future, something that lets you think about what's the next step here. I think when you're building a universe, that's really important. And Marvel's had hits and flops with that too. You've got people that you've seen that we're probably never going to see. It was the what was the one? What movie was it with the leprechaun at the end of it? I forget his name.
Was it a Guardians of the Galaxy? No, that was Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember.
There was one where they're all right, people. We're gonna look this thing up
Because I didn't. Yeah.
So this was like Leprechaun end credits. No, I don't need the Leprechaun edit. Post credit scenes. Eternals. It was Eternals.
Was it?
Yeah. So that was Eternals. So let me find Eternals.
Was that the guy from No Direction? I remember he was in that post credit scene.
Was it Harry Styles? Is that
Harry Styles? Yeah.
Let's see, Eternals. They just kind of take Eternals and just brush it off. They're just like, nope, we're not going that direction.
I thought it was interesting. It was a shame. It was a pity that they didn't. Not until the recent Captain America that they addressed this big old thing that's in the Indian Ocean. You know. And it's just sitting there.
Yeah. So they encounter Eros, the brother of Thanos.
Yeah.
So that's Harry Styles, and his troll companion Pip.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
It's like we're probably never there. That's never going to pay out. that's something that's just never going to.
It was supposed to be, and then the guy from Game of Thrones at the end, one of the mid credit scene, I think, when he uncovers like the sword or something, and he was supposed to be called the Black Knight or something like that. And I mean, it's like, well, you're hinting at it. Go ahead and make it, you know. But it's cool now because I think, we're not going to get another Marvel movie after the Fantastic Four until Avengers Doomsday, which is, I think, going to come out in December of 26. So it's like almost like a year and a half of no Marvel. So I think that's cool. But, Marvel, that's a whole different subject. We could probably do a podcast on that.
Yeah. I'd like to see, end credits that tie into stuff. And,
yeah.
It was great having her drop in, before the credits.
Yeah.
That's always good. But the after credits was just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Unless I missed something. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I did. Maybe there's something subtle there.
If we've missed anything in that about that scene, put it down in the comments because I want to know.
Yeah.
Because I hate just to think that it's just that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, yeah. So.
Yeah. But listen, so it was it was a movie. It was a good movie. It was entertaining.
Yeah.
It was fun to see. Would I rather have a Superman movie than not have a Superman movie? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd always be up for a Superman movie. And this was a Superman movie. It hit the little points that you expect for a Superman movie. Some better, some worse. You can have expectations that, who is your Superman and can you grow from that, who was your childhood Superman and allow these things to expand your universe. But let us know who was your childhood Superman. Who do you see out of all of these? Who do you think is the most true to your vision of Superman? It's a very personal decision, just like Batman and all the other superheroes. And we will respond back. Hit us up on the socials. Instagram, YouTube, Bluetooth, Blueberry, Farmville. I think we're on Farmville, right? We're on Farmville.
Yeah, I think we have some acreage on that.
Yeah, we're in Farmville. Candy Crush. We have a Candy Crush level that you can comment on. So hit us up wherever our socials. They're all linked below. Until then, we will see you next time for whatever this is called.
Bye.